Hello, I hope all is well. So this video I'll be going into 10 of what I perceive to be lesser known or less mainstream money making methods. Now, Oldschool Runescape has been around for quite some time now, and there aren't really very many money makers out there that are totally unknown. So you may look at some of these and say, oh yeah, that's obvious, everyone knows that one. But I'm trying to think of things that maybe, hopefully some people look at and say, oh, I hadn't thought about that, or it's been a while since I saw that. So hopefully I can come up with at least one or two that you find somewhat unique. There won't be anything like killing Zulrah or God Wars or stuff like that. But first, a shout out to my sponsor. I don't have a sponsor. Why would anyone sponsor me? That's just silly. Now, my first moneymaker on the list is mining gems in the dungeon below Shiloh Village. Now, you'll probably want Karamja Gloves 3 for an instant teleport right there, and then you can just teleport out with a Amulet of Glory or Ring of Dueling or something like that. Now, you can do this with or without dropping the crappiest gems. Now, that would be Jade and Opal. They don't sell for nearly as much. However, it is pretty quick to teleport out and then go right back there. So I did some with dropping and some without, and I didn't really notice a huge difference in profit. Now, this is something I anticipate doing a lot of because it's also really good mining experience. It's probably one of the better ways to train mining, and I am going for level 85 here pretty soon. So I made about 600k profit per hour in addition to all the mining experience. So this was a really solid moneymaker and way to train mining. Next up, number 2 for me is Hollow Trees. Now, these are just east of Canifis. Now, these aren't the best moneymaker in the world, but it's something you probably haven't thought about in a while. They're actually pretty easy to cut. My wood cutting level is not very high. It's just above 70, and I was cutting them pretty quick. It only took me a couple minutes to get 2 full inventories. To bank them, I just ran into Canifis and ended up selling them, making a profit of about 200k per hour, so not great, some solid wood cutting experience, and they do have the potential to be a decent moneymaker. Alright, up next, and these are not in any particular order, by the way. This isn't like a top 10 list or anything, it's just 10 moneymakers. But this is Compost Potions, using Compost Potions to make Super Compost. Now, this moneymaker probably was better prior to the introduction of Ultra Compost, being that now Super Compost is no longer the best form of compost in the game. I still think that this has a place as a moneymaker. You just have to check the market before you do this and kind of get the value of things and see if you actually are going to make a decent profit or not. At the rate I was doing this, I was only making about 200k per hour, and it is also kind of dependent on your clicking skills. I'm not the fastest clicker. I could easily see somebody getting 300k per hour on this right now, and if the price of Super Compost went up a little bit, you could easily make more. So up next, and one of my favorites on this list, is making Sandfuse Serum. Now, this requires level 65 Herblore and completion of the Zogre Flesh Eaters quest, but this one could be quite lucrative depending on the price of the Sandfuse Serum at the time. So the most tedious part about this will be picking the snakeweed. You're going to have to do that yourself, and I recommend, or at least what I did, was using a Taibo Wani teleport tab and then just running southwest. And you got to pick them off of these marshy vines here. That does take a little bit of time, but I believe it is somewhat dependent on your Herblore level, so if you do have a higher Herblore level, you should get them a little quicker. But go ahead and gather those, and you can just buy the Unicorn Horn Dust. So you take Unicorn Horn Dust and use them on a 4-dose Super Restore Potion. You also need Nail Beast Nails, which can also be kind of costly, so that's another variable in this equation. So you need a Super Restore, a Nail Beast Nails, a Ground Unicorn Horn Dust, and a Snakeweed. And you go ahead and use them all together and get a Sandfuse Serum. These provide pretty good Herblore experience. I believe you get experience at every step along the way. So it is a lot of clicking, but it is a profitable way to train Herblore that's not just sitting there and cleaning herbs. So you can make money and train Herblore, and I do plan on doing this going forward to level up my Herblore, and I actually ended up making about 700k profit per hour. So again, this is heavily dependent on the price of things like Nail Beast Nails and Super Restores and Sandfuse Serum. So before you invest a bunch of money in this, you will want to check the prices of those items. Number 5 on my list, and something that's especially great for pures, is Elder Chaos Druids at the Chaos Temple. Now you do have to be careful because it is in the wilderness, but you won't really be risking anything other than the drops that you get, because you're just going to want to wear monk robes and keep Protect from Magic on at all times, and continue recharging your prayer at the altar here. Now you'll also want a Ring of Wealth imbued, because that'll increase your chance of getting a hard clue scroll drop to 1 in 64, which is really pretty common given how quickly you can drop these guys. You'll expect to get about 200k per hour in herbs alone, plus the chances of hard clues, and also the Elder Chaos Druid robes are worth anywhere from 400 to 700k each, so those would be a solid drop too if you can manage one of those. Up next on my list, I've got picking up Black Scimitars. Now this has been around for a long time, and I honestly do not know who's buying these Black Scimitars, but they do sell, or at least they sold when I did it. You're just going to need a lock pick. Pick the lock up here in the southwest corner on the second floor of the Ardoin Castle, and then you're just going to world hop and pick up this Black Scimitar, and you're really just limited by how much you can world hop. It's kind of somewhat AFKable because you just hop a bunch of times until it logs you out, maybe while you're watching TV or something, then go focus on your show or another RuneScape account or something, and then let that kind of recharge a little bit, go bank or sell them. And I managed to make about 250k an hour for something that really was not much effort other than just world hopping every now and then. Coming in at number 7 on my list, killing Iban's disciples for Zamorak robes. First I want to stop and take a minute to say, if you're still with me, thank you. This is longer than most of my videos are. I've always been a fan of keeping my videos short and not adding a bunch of fluff and just trying to get arbitrary length to them. But for this video, I really hope you're getting some value out of it. I felt like I really did have this much content that I could put in that I hope would be valuable to somebody. And I spent quite a bit of time putting this all together, so I hope you're enjoying it so far, and I still have a couple more methods to throw in there. So for this, getting to the Disciples of Iban, what you're going to need, you do need to have started Regicide Quest, and you're going to need a tiny elf crystal. Use that to teleport to the elf camp. You will probably get poisoned on the way running to the well here, but I wouldn't worry about it because it only starts at 2 and it'll go away pretty quickly. In order to do this, you're probably also going to want some graceful equipment, as you will be running a lot. Graceful equipment, and then a weapon just like a whip or a blowpipe if you choose to use range. You're going to want to go down this well, and the disciples will pretty much be right there. Just go through this door, actually click on it the right way, if not the first, at least by the second. Come on, Eric. 3rd time, 4th time. There you go, got it. So you're just going to want to kill these guys and pick up the tops and the bottoms. It's as simple as that. These actually sell pretty well because a lot of pures use them, and pures die a lot, I know from experience. And people don't pick these up, so they just get lost, and there's a constant demand for Zamorak robes. And the bottoms sell better than the tops, but I would recommend just going ahead and picking up both of them. But since you do have an odd number of spaces in your inventory due to the elf crystal, if you're going to leave one, I would say leave a top and take an extra bottom with you. The one thing I did find kind of annoying about this is that there are not enough disciples here to get a full inventory. You only get about 2/3 of an inventory. So your choice is either to world hop or to try hopping over one of the ledges. I opted to just change worlds because I didn't want to take the chance of falling and then having to leave with a partial inventory. All in all, I made about 500k per hour, which I guess is pretty decent, but you do have to kind of be paying attention the whole time, either running or killing these things or picking stuff up, so that's kind of a partial knock against it. Number 8 on my list is grinding desert goat horns. Now, I'm sure everyone knows about by now grinding unicorn horn dust or chocolate or bird's nest, but desert goat horns are much lesser known, I feel like. They can also have the chance of being profitable. So they are used to make combat potions, which is a decent way to train using Heralders at lower herb lore levels. So there aren't nearly as many people doing this. So one thing you can do is get bigger margins. You can leave an offer up overnight, just take a long time to let them buy, and you can possibly create wider margins for yourself. Now, I only made about 200k an hour doing this, which is not great, but if you're willing to be patient, I bet you could easily double that just by being willing to wait, since not a ton of people are going out there killing desert goats. Number 9 on my list, I've got this one. I think has the potential to be really profitable depending on the market, and that is creating raw wild pies. Now you could do this with other pies, you could do it with summer pies, but those take level 95 cooking. Wild pies only take level 85 cooking, which I feel like isn't that bad. A lot of mid-level accounts have around 85 cooking or so. You are going to need a raw bear meat, a raw chompy, and a raw rabbit. Put all of those in a pie shell. I just went ahead and bought the pie shell that was already in the pie dish. I don't know, maybe you could make a little bit more money, but then that's another inventory of clicking you got to do. So making these pies, I made about 650k per hour. Now if I were willing to wait longer and try to buy the chompies for less, or buy the bear or rabbit for less, you could probably really drive that profit up a little bit. This is another one of those things that I know a lot of people train with the bake pie spell, but I imagine that's probably about the only thing chompies are used for. You could possibly get them a little bit cheaper than what I paid for them. Alright, last but not least, actually probably least, something I like a lot in real life though, making pineapple pizza. So that's simply slicing a pineapple and putting it on a pizza. You get about 40 cooking experience each, which is not a ton, but it's something, and it requires level 65 cooking to do. I made about 250k per hour doing this, which is not a ton of money, but as with other things, markets change, prices go up and down, and there's always going to be a demand for pineapple pizza because it is a relatively inexpensive way to heal 22 in 2 bites, which is excellent for Slayer. There's not really any sense in spending twice as much for a dark crab when you're killing something like gargoyles. So there will always be a demand for pineapple pizza, and that does have the potential to be a somewhat decent moneymaker. Alright, that's pretty much going to do it for 10 somewhat lesser known money-making methods. I do hope that at least a couple of these piqued your interest, or at least made you think about something that you hadn't in a while, and that perhaps you're going to go out and try 1 or 2 of these and say, hey, that's interesting, I'm going to give that a shot. But I do hope you found it interesting. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.